Thank you. Yes, absolutely. We'll move back to Australia now. Brazil looks brilliant and exotic, and I've actually been lucky enough to get over there. But we're focused on the Pilbara region in Western Australia, so I'd like to talk you through another gold story. I really think that the cryptos, they can have their day tomorrow on Saturday, but today, if you've been following what people have been talking about, gold is actually in a really good spot right now. It's not about in the future and where the gold price could go. It really is where it is now. 2,200's an outstanding sort of price. But what we are seeing is it's not really filtering down to the juniors yet from an exploration point of view. So it's great to see sort of Andrew out there. It's all about drilling holes and making discoveries. I think the thing that I took away from Evolution is their resources were pretty steady for the last 3 or 4 years. And that resource base is what's important, because that's where the ounces in the future come from. And we're now going to see those sorts of companies that have been making money from this sustained increase in the gold price move more into exploration, which is great for us that sit with resource ounces and targets. It's important that people get a feel for exploration again. So I'd like to talk to you today about Kairos. We've got a market cap of about 10 million. We've got 600-odd thousand ounces in resource in the Pilbara. We've got announced a capital raising this week of $2 million. So there's a placement portion that's being finalised this week, and then an SPP will be out. So we've had quite a few shareholders sort of come through the booth, and if you're a shareholder, keep an eye out for that paperwork. And what I'd like to talk to you today is about where that money's going to go and what we expect out of it. So like I said, we've got the Mount York project in the Pilbara. It's a great place to do business. The infrastructure's second to none. Port Hedland's one of the largest export ports in the world. The asset that we've got already was a mine, and if you look at the gold price charts that have been up, that sort of late 90s era was a sort of a fantastic sort of window for companies to do mining. So they pulled out 125,000 ounces at Mount York. We've, through doing really just more sustained drilling over the last couple of years, increased that already to 643. We've got drilling again planned for November on one of the smaller deposits we've got there, but I'll go through why. It's got some fantastic sort of widths and grades that you really need if you're looking to add ounces to move forward and do sort of mining studies and get reserves. We've also been involved in the Pilbara Conglomerate Gold Rush. I mean, that's been a fantastic thing for us, and we're still big believers in it. There's a lot of companies sort of talked a lot about it, raised a lot of money, didn't do a lot at all. We've been very focused on it as part of our exploration in the Pilbara, not as a sole focus. So I'd like to talk to you today about that as well. We've got a large project near Breaker Resources south of that tenement near Kalgoorlie. And as I mentioned earlier, we've just done a $2 million capital raising. So this is where we are in the Pilbara. We've got tenements spread through quite a large area, but access is pretty good with bitumen road sort of crisscrossing the countryside up there. The Mount York, we've got 486,000 ounces in a single deposit, and that's what's really important. We've also on this, we've got the Kangan project near Egina. I'll talk about that near the end. Those of you who have followed Novo in this area, they're now putting a lot of their attention on the alluvial gravels in the Pilbara, and I'll explain that near the end. So Mount York really is something that we now have to sort of look at with these gold prices. When we did the resource, we put this 643,000 ounces that we've got in 2,000 Aussie pit shells, because it was about $1,600 or $1,700 when we did it. Now, 2,200 with 600,000, that's an extra $200 per ounce that's inside those pit shells, straight to the bottom line. And you can do the maths on that, and it's over 120 extra $1 million. I mean, that's the sort of thing that this shift in the gold price has done. So we thought 1,800 Aussie's fine. I think, Evolution sort of talking about the same sort of thing. 2,000 is great. 2,200 today is a great number. All right? So we are now going to move forward and do mining studies on that, but part of it is also to increase those resource bases. And it's all, it's always about that. You've always got to be expanding, and we've got the target areas to do that. If you look at the slide on the right there, we've got other deposits in the area we can look to expand. The main focus of the drilling in the past has been down at Main Hill, Breccia Hill, Gossan Hill, which is all one big single ore body. And like I said, that's what the countryside's like. It's been mined before. We've got a full bankable feasibility on that, which gives us a great kickstart into doing further mining studies. It was mined. People estimate what pit walls angles will stand up. Well, those ones are standing up, so it makes life a lot easier. Water's not an issue in the area. We've also got, we've also got excellent infrastructure in the area. We are literally 5 kilometres from Pilbara Minerals' lithium project. So they've got a couple of 100-man camp. We can use that. So that makes drilling here and also building anything here much easier. They've put a haul road which is only 25 k's from the bitumen, but that's all completely built now. Access across the rail is done. They've got large bore fields already established. So once again, we're in a really fantastic infrastructure advantage. When I talked about the pit shells as well, you sort of got the darker grey there, which is the old mine pits. Then you've got the red, which is the resource, and that's where the mineralisation is. But we constrained our resource already with the lighter grey outlines, and they're the new 2,000 Aussie pit shells. But what you can see is if you change that from 2,000 to 2,200, we've got to change these mining studies because we do have significant ounces there under those pit shells. So it's quite a constrained resource. I think a lot of them have global resources, and then you sort of look at mining studies and you look and see what you'll get. I think what we've got is pretty good value for these ounces. The next drilling that's coming up in November will be at Iron Stirrup, which is about 5 or 6 k's to the north. If you look at the widths and grades, they're very nice ore body, really nice and consistent. It's not closed off at all. We've got potential to the north and to the south, but also at depth. And there's a lot of 15 to 30 metre wide zones there going 2 to 4 grams. And if you look at the overall grade of the resource, the one thing we're mindful of is that we've got to get that grade up. And this is sort of part of that strategy. The other regional work that we've done and what we've really focused on in the last 6 months, and a lot of that's around access. The last 6 months is the time of year to get out there and do your more regional work. We picked up these projects and started exploration for Conglomerate Gold 2 years ago, and when we first started we had to use a helicopter. It was pretty remote. It's only about 80-90 k's off the bitumen, but there's some decent sort of creek crossings and things that restrict access. So what we did was regional stream sediment program, and we put these results out last year, but I've not seen results like this, and I know that there's no exploration ever done in the area that we've got. The yellow dots on that map are stream sediment samples. Now, we panned them, 46%, about 111 had visible gold. Now, that's not sending off to the lab, that's visible gold. And Andrew was talking about following up prospectors. Well, sometimes just being a prospector and doing this sort of work works. Now, the key for us is to follow that up. Now, we've got in the northwest area there a 4 kilometre long gold in soil anomaly on one of the largest structures in the Pilbara. It's got a very high tenor, up over 0.5 gram, outlined by probably about 30 parts per billion. I've done a lot of work in the Pilbara, and that is a very, very, very large target. We know that it's a hydrothermal system because it's full of arsenic, it's full of antimony and bismuth and all these other metals that are associated. So it's an interesting one that we've just finished heritage surveys on, and we'll look to get in and drill this as soon as we can. We'll likely work at Mount York now, but this will be one for early next year. But it definitely is a fantastic target with the arsenic anomaly up over 8 kilometres. All right? And you've got to remember what I said about the stream sediment, that this area is shedding gold, visible gold, and fine gold. All that is smaller than 2 millimetres. That's all we put in the pan. So I've got one nugget from this area. If you want to come over to the booth, I'll show you. It's quite an interesting one. Keith, you'll have to come and have a look. It's not like all the watermelon seed ones, right? It's not one of those. This is a different one, right? But this is a major target in the Pilbara, and it's fantastic, and it really shows, you know, the efforts that we've put in over the last 6 months have paid off. We've also been following up on the conglomerate gold, because at the end of the day, we keep finding gold. And that's what you do in exploration. You don't sort of listen to theories about it could be or it might not be or why it is, or, I mean, that's all great. But if you keep finding gold, you just keep following it. So that's what we've done. We've got an area that's about 700 metres by 200 metres. There's no basalt on top like a lot of the rest of the Pilbara. You can basically run the metal detector over that outcrop, and there's about 17 detector strikes. We've got a jackhammer and that doesn't work. This thing's hard, right? So it's not easy to mine it. But we found a kilo of gold around the edge of that. And these are guys who've got prospectors out. They're not prospectors, they're just guys who've never used a metal detector. Right? So it's not hard to find gold. The local Aboriginal sort of guys come out and they just clean up. They just know exactly where to go. They love it. They think we're great because we tell them where to go. And so we have a great relationship out there, but it shows us this is a fantastic target. If we want to test and see how much gold's in this, it's a great target area to do it, because there is a lot of conglomerate out there and it's shedding gold. When we do soil sampling in that over this, we get nothing. We get no arsenic, no bismuth, no antimony, and we very rarely get gold. Most of the gold here is just coarse, and that's it. You can find it with a detector or it's not there. So it's completely different to what we're finding only 10 k's away, which is pretty exciting for us. Now, I don't know, am I the first one to mention global warming? I haven't been listening to all the talks. Good. Because it's on, everybody has to talk about it. It's compulsory at the moment. So, somebody, when the Pilbara conglomerate gold story came out, had this great idea of pegging the ground off the coast of Australia. Why, when you can't get the gold out with a jackhammer, why not just go and collect it out to sea? Which sort of makes a bit of sense. It happens in other places around the world. You watch those Alaskan gold rushes and things like that. Except that 4 million years ago, the edge of Australia, and this gold was deposited 2.7 billion years ago, right? So it's been eroding away for all that time. But 4 million years ago, if you look at the blue line, that's pretty much where the edge of Australia was. Now that's about 90 k's inland and 130 metres above sea level. So Novo, who have got 50 million in the bank and fantastic support, have been working at Egina. They bought that project, and they have got a $30 million joint venture with Sumitomo to explore these marine terrace gravels. Now, we have our Kangan project, which we know has got gravel in it, but we haven't done any work on it to date. But it is an amazing sort of upside and an interestingly evolving story in the whole Pilbara gold rush situation. But yeah, so if you think sea level rises of a couple of metres in the next 100 years are high, 4 million years ago it was 130, and that was the bottom of the ocean. So the Earth is pretty dynamic. That's just a blow up. You can see the areas with the gold and gravels, and then, you know, our tenements are fantastically situated because it's 90 k's south of Port Hedland by Bitumen Road. So the access is pretty good. So that's one that we'll be working on. We'll do a bit on that, but also keep an eye on Novo and what they're doing on their marine terrace gravel story. So just to leave you with what Kairos is about, we really are focused in the Pilbara. There are multiple styles there. We really think that what we've got at Croydon is an amazing drill target. We're very excited about that and look at getting stuck into that early next year. In the meantime, we're going back to Mount York. We'll be drilling at what's called Iron Stirrup in November, and also looking to commence mining studies to give people a bit more of an idea of what 643,000 ounces is like and the value that it's got. As I also said, we've recently announced a placement in SPP, so if you are a shareholder, keep an eye out for that. and follow us with what we're up to in what is an amazing sort of gold price range today. Thank you very much.